I'd like to call this meeting to order. I'd like to welcome everyone to the Monday, August 21st, 2023 regular City Council meeting. If everyone would please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence. Okay. Our first item on the agenda is a public hearing with our esteemed Planning Commission.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank
Turn
you.
that over to you.
Council members, here for a public hearing with the joint session of the Planning Commission. 4 members are present. Here to discuss rezoning of tax map number 642-00-00-036, 642-00-00-034, 642-00-000-027, and 642-00-000-028 from the current RUD in York County to PUD in the city of TKK as part of a 100% annexation petition. We'll now turn over to Nick with city staff for a presentation.
Thank you, Chairman Ross. As you stated, the applicant is proposing to annex and rezone approximately 22 acres from RUD in the county to PUD R8 in the city. The property is located on the western side of Dam Road, as you can see on the screen, across from the Lake Ridge subdivision. The proposal is for up to 70 single-family homes, and 66 are currently depicted on their concept plan, resulting in a density of approximately 3 per acre. Approximately 5 acres of open space will be provided, along with the amenity center as shown on the screen there. The City of TKK and Fort Mill School District impact fees will be charged for this development, and the city's impact fee per unit is $7,924, which is allocated to Parks and Recreation, Police, Fire, and Public Works. And the city also has an additional impact fee for water and sewer, and that's based upon meter size, and that would be per meter for this development. The school district's impact fee is $18,158 per residential unit, and it's paid at the time of permitting. The property has frontage on Dam Road and River Ridge Place, and it will have access points from each, as you can see on the screen, and a traffic impact study will be required before approval of the preliminary plat to determine the necessity of transportation improvements to mitigate any impact from this development. The staff is recommending approval of this request tonight, and staff feels that it is consistent with the comprehensive plan and would allow for development that is compatible with the surrounding uses. The development will meet a need for additional residential opportunities in the area, while also promoting greater efficiency of city services, considering that the properties are within the city's utility service area. A community meeting was held on August 3rd by the developer, and a presentation was delivered to the Planning Commission last Thursday night, the 17th. One citizen spoke at the Planning Commission meeting with concerns over a restaurant and a commercial dock as part of this development, and the citizen was informed that there will be no commercial as part of this project due to deed restrictions, and any docks would have to be approved by Duke Energy, and they would be for private use only by the individual lots. The Planning Commission will vote on their recommendation at the next Planning Commission meeting, which will be held on September the 11th. That's all.
Thanks, Nick. Typically, we would now go to any public comments and or questions, but as you guys can all see, no one signed up for any public comments and or questions on this. I will give it a chance and open it up if anyone did not know what this is about and they would like a chance to speak. Now is your chance. Having have none, Mr. Mayor, Mr. Council, we will hand it back to you guys.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I'm ready.
Okay. That brings us to item 2 on the agenda, ordinance 581 violations.
Mr. Mayor, you still have the budget public hearing.
Budget public hearing.
Yep, we got to do the public hearing on the budget next.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. Okay. Sure.
Just, maybe this might be for Nick, or for Charlie, but on that public hearing for the rezoning, I have a question on, maybe some clarification on the difference between RUD to PUD R8. Could you help me understand that better, please? Nick did a great job at the planning commission meeting the other night, thank you, but I went away with that question.
Yeah. So the RUD is the county designation, so it's a rural residential district. And the PUD R8 is for planned unit development, and the R8 is the base zoning district for that.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Okay. So I do not have any public comments as well.
I will drive us as quickly as I can through the budget. As required, we are required to have a public hearing on our budgets every year under state law. And the advertisement was placed in accordance with state law. So if council will bear with me just a few minutes, just some budget notes, and then I'll run through the various budgets. First and foremost, there is no millage increase proposed for the coming fiscal year of FY 23-24. The staff has requested additional headcount, which would be 2 in park maintenance, 2 in public works maintenance, and 1 in TCUD. Again, another maintenance position there. Over $1 million in capital projects / equipment without taking on any new debt. Focus on reinvesting in our aging areas and infrastructure. 50% of the golf bond, approximately 50%, is being funded by being funded from the golf course back to the city to help offset that bond cost. TCUD is finally in a healthy financial position where they can it can pay franchise fee to the general fund like the other utilities do, like Duke Energy, York Electric, and an increase, slight increase in the stormwater fee to cover capital projects within the system. Just to show you our funds. The general fund is projected revenues of $16,452,512. Expenditures at $16,228,459, leaving you with a positive balance there of $224,053. Beach and Swim Center, revenues of $355,080 and expenditures to match. TCUD showing revenues coming in at $7,235,380 with expenditures at $6,993,000. And I lost my screen. There we go. $6,993,899. And with a positive balance of $241,481. Stormwater at $776,727. With expenditures to match. Events tourism, $213,521, and again with expenditures to match there. And then our hospitality tax revenues are projected at $399,220 with expenditures at $387,863, leaving you a positive net balance in that fund of $11,357. In total, across all funds, you're looking at revenues coming in at $25,432,440, and expenditures at $24,955,549, with a positive net balance of $476,890 across all funds. Tim, I'm going to need some help, please. There we go. Just a quick breakdown of your departments. Obviously, within your, all of these are contained within your general fund. You're looking at $71,840 for the council budget. That is a variance of, or a reduction of $8,323, or a reduction by 12% from the current fiscal year. For court, projected at $327,296 in expenses, as a slight increase of $26,459 or an 8% increase. Admin at $926,779 for a total expenditures. That's a variance of $75,782 from the current year or an increase of 8%. Development services is coming in at $628,483. That's a variance of $152,048, or a difference of 24%. And most of that is due to reallocation of salaries based on some reorganization that we've done this year. Public Works at $1,317,674. That's a variance of $390,914, or an increase of 30%. One of the biggest upticks in the Public Works budget is focused on re-signing all of our street signs to finish out that project around the entire peninsula. So we're excited to get that project underway, assuming council's approval of the budget. In our police department, $4,297,273. That's a variance of $730,739, or a 17% increase. And a lot of these increases are due to the capital items, which we'll cover here shortly for the public. In our fire department, $2,789,784. That's a variance off the current fiscal year of $228,284, or an increase of 8%. Parks and Recreation is projected at $1,961,890. It's a variance of $655,306, a variance of 33, or an increase of 33%. And then in a non-departmental, looking at an increase of $3,907,440. That is a variance of $554,200, or an increase of 14%. And again, you can see those funds once again: General Fund, Beach Club, TCUD, Stormwater Events, and H-Tax that was covered on the previous slide. Here's your golf budget. For the first time this year, we had our golf management group participate in our budget workshop a few weeks ago, and presented their budgets and answered questions that council had. But you can see their proposed total revenues coming in at $2,109,492. That's a variance of an additional $242,991, or an increase of 13.02%. One of the great things that we're seeing, especially from golf, is the dollar figure on the revenue per rounds. You can see the uptick there of projected increases of $5.59 per round that it's increasing, which is great that you've got more people spending more money as they come out and play the golf. It's put them in a great financial position to be able to transfer that $250,000 back over to general fund to help offset the cost of that debt, which I know was a big initiative from council coming out of this current fiscal year. Let's see. Your gross profits is another area I want to highlight on this budget. From the golf course, $604,881. That's a positive variance of $173,550, or an increase of 40.24%. So very healthy golf course. As is the case with the golf course as well as on our city budgets, we forecast our revenues on a very conservative basis, and then work to make sure that our expenditures are staying equal to or less than what those projected revenues may be. So I want to talk just briefly over some of the capital projects that we talked through with council during the budget workshop. In Public Works, and everything you see on the screen here is all attributed to general fund. In Public Works, replacing 2 of our maintenance vehicles, constructing a pole barn shelter to be able to store our equipment, along with replacement of a RTV. And you got a total of capital expenditures there of $201,000. In law enforcement, we've got to replace in-car cameras, That's an expense that we'll see over the next 5 years as we go there and work to replace those old cameras. A software for our radios, a software update on the radios, or they won't work come December. So, come the end of December. So you've got the cost in there for there, along with some replacement radios that have surpassed useful life, along with 4 additional replacement patrol cars to replace some patrol cars that are starting to run up the maintenance expense as well as get to very high mileage. So your total capital in PD is $390,052. In fire services, obviously, at prior council meeting, we discussed the ladder truck. So what we're showing you here is what will affect next fiscal year. And again, that's replacement radios. And that's a public safety thing countywide. Motorola, as those radios get older, they stop servicing those, and we have to upgrade those radios to be able to continue to function. In our Parks and Recreation, SandPro, this will replace the current piece of equipment that's actually no longer functional on maintaining our ball fields. It also is going to help us better maintain the beaches at Windjammer, along with the beach volleyball court down at the Beach Club. A Boxer loader equipment, for those that aren't familiar with it, it's a kind of like a Swiss Army knife for us, and will not only be able to be used by Parks and Recreation, but also our Public Works Department as well, as they may need to. A redesign of the front fountain, we're going to convert that into a beautiful waterfall with better landscaping and lighting around it to make it a nice focal point as folks come onto the peninsula. Adding trail lighting, this will be low voltage lighting in the darker areas of the Stephen Hamilton walking trail that goes down Tiki Cay Drive. And 1 new truck and 1 replacement truck in that area, along with repaving the parking lot at Rundy. Within its operational budget, we've also allocated dollars to remove and repave the trail that goes from the parking lot up to the restroom concession building. So let me go back. So again, your total for general fund from a capital standpoint is $1,022,302. Beach and Swim Center, repair the pool deck, $150,000. Pool cover at $18,800. Pump for the wading pool at $9,620. A cover for the wading pool, replaster. Obviously, the wading pool needs some TLC for the coming year, as well as replastering that. And then we've got some drain covers that we have to replace in order to stay in compliance with DHEC. So your total there is $207,708 or $780, as discussed during the budget workshop. There will be a one-time transfer from general fund to help with these expenses. Under TCUD, your only capital costs there are 3 replacement maintenance vehicles. And then out beside, you can see the capital request coming from for the golf club. And again, these are all funded from golf-related revenues. Revenues coming in through the clubhouse, so they do not impact our general fund or any of our other city funds. But they've got a variety of equipment that they need to get, rebuilding the irrigation pump, additional cart path repair, laser leveling the championship tees, cleaning up around the lower end of the practice facility as far as the underbrush and limit up trees, additional facility signage. If you've been out on the golf course, you see they've already have already replaced the hole marker signs, and now they're going to be going around the clubhouse and other areas and replacing those additional old signs to match. They're still working on cost for painting the light poles at the tennis facility, and we're still working on cost for fountains, putting fountains in on some of the course ponds. We've had some residents that reached out, said that they would be willing to help contribute towards that. We appreciate that. So, but they feel very positive that through their operational budget, as well as what they've built the reserves up to, they'll be able to cover all of those costs there. So, again, no new debt being projected through any of this. Your new debt for next year really is just in golf course, and that's associated with the cart fleet that council approved. So that is your budgets. Obviously, we discussed those in a lot of detail during the budget workshop on July 26th. And council, I'll be happy to answer any questions or any comments the public may have if anyone signed up for that.
Gentlemen, do we have any discussion?
All I have is good effort on trying to make it quick. Did your best.
I'm surprised that Tim Gillette's not your only Swiss Army knife now.
Do we have anything else? Okay. In that, let's move on to our next agenda item, which is ordinance 581 violations. We do have some folks that have continued not to adhere to our request for them to move vehicles that are derelict and no longer operational. Charlie, could you add a couple on that?
Sure. So as per ordinance 581 that was recently adopted by City Council, code enforcement has identified abandoned or derelict vehicles around the city. They've given them notice via certified mail and have notified them that they had the opportunity to appear before council this evening. I'm not sure if any of them are here. The list started with 6 vehicles. 4 of those have been addressed and moved. There are 2, as of this afternoon, there were still 2 remaining that had not been addressed, and those are for council's consideration this evening. Should council vote to have those removed, then our law enforcement folks will begin that process tomorrow morning on having those vehicles towed away, and that will be at the owner's expense.
Gentlemen, do you have any discussion? Or is Amanda Robinson present? No. Okay. John McNamee? Okay. Seeing as they aren't present, gentlemen, I'd like to entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, motion to authorize TK Police Department to have the aforementioned vehicles towed.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
With a motion and a second, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion is unanimous. Okay. That will bring us to public comments. And as usual, please state your name and your address clearly into the microphone. Our first person we have is Alicia Fornato.
Good evening. Good evening. My name is Alicia Formato, and I live at 25030 Riley Lane. Like many residents of TKK, I am concerned about the deer. I am here to bring forward to the city and the TKK City Council the use of PZP as the most effective way of sustainably controlling and maintaining a healthy herd. PZP is a protein-based immunocontraception given only to the does. This method was developed 3 decades ago, and its effects are well known. It works by using the body's immune system to prevent pregnancy and is administered by hand or dart gun. Pregnancy is prevented immediately and lasts up to 3 years. Effectiveness is at 80 to 90%, resulting in 60% less deer being born. A booster shot is given to maintain effectiveness. My source for this is the United States Humane Society. Thank you.
Thank you. Ruthie Smith?
Hello, everybody. Good to see you. Ruthie Smith. I live at 8039 Windjammer Drive. I've lived here for 23 years. And speaking on behalf of many residents in TK, we are concerned about the methods that have been considered to control the herd. In speaking with several agencies, wildlife experts, and other communities that are facing the same issues that TKK is facing at this time, this is nothing new. The South Carolina DNR will determine if there is an issue and recommend that TK adopt a sustainable, effective herd management program with a common goal in place. They do not tell you to go out and shoot them. That's up to you. And based on our findings with documented statistics, managing the herd through immunocontraception would be the most logical method to slow down reproduction and let natural attrition run its course. Using the PZP is both sustainable, financially effective. PZP is only given to the female deer, and the cost is approximately $100 for a dart delivery, or $500 if captured and tagged and hand administered. Again, the approach and effectiveness of this is 80 to 90%. And this source is from Fripp Island. Thank you.
Thank you, Ruthie. Janine Hushi?
Good evening. My name is Janine Mucci, and I live at 1450 Finsbury Lane. Like many residents in TGK, I'm concerned about the deer. I'm here to bring forward to the city and the TGK City Council the use of PZP as the most effective way of sustainably controlling and maintaining a healthy herd. Using PCB for sustainable deer control has been proven by the experts. As the Humane Society of America explains, deer kills do not keep deer numbers down because deer are highly prolific and their high reproductive rate can quickly compensate for declines in their population. When deer numbers are reduced after killing programs, the remaining female deer often respond to greater food abundance by giving birth to twins or triplets. PZP is successful because it breaks down the cycle of does becoming pregnant and new fawns being born. The source of my data tonight is from the Humane Society of the United States. Thank you for your time.
Mary Eichert?
Hi, guys. Mary Eichert, 25015 Molokai Drive. So what's Mary going to talk about tonight? I stand here once again being a voice of an advocate for our deer population. Y'all know my position on the matter, and that has not changed at all. But tonight I'm here to bring forward a solution for a deer management program that has proven to be effective and sustainable long-term, PZP. Using PZP is a long-term sustainable solution. Fripp Island in South Carolina is a great example of the success of PCP in reducing population numbers. As does treated with PZP on Fripp Island, South Carolina stopped having fawns, the number of deer dropped from almost 600 to around 300. On nearby Huntington Island, where does were not treated, the deer population rose slightly. And I have a pretty graph here that I can give to you guys. I understand that running a city is running a business. You must make choices and complex decisions to please the masses. I would just like to remind you that you wouldn't be up there doing this job if you didn't love the city and the community and for the people that you work for. So please consider this solution we are bringing to you tonight and understand that we have the same shared goal of a happy and healthy herd that we can manage humanely and successfully for years to come. I look forward to collaborating with you all soon on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Peter Wilkinson?
Good evening, council and fellow residents. My name is Pete Wilkinson. I live at 25030 Riley Lane. And I would like to say, as stewards of our city and our taxpayer money, I think we can all agree that we have an overpopulation of deer that we need to address, and I think that the PZP will help deal with both sides of the people who are very divisive about this. Using PCP is a long-term sustainable solution. In the city of Hastings-on-Hudson in New York, PZP treatments resulted in only 15% of females producing fawns. When boosters were administered 2.5 years later, after the initial dose, the fawn rate dropped to 8%. I think this is a viable solution to address this problem. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Sierra Mucci? Go Tigers.
Hi, my name is Kiara Mucci. I live at 1450 Finsbury Lane. I've grown up in TK my whole life, and I actually just started my senior year of high school at Fort Mill. So I've loved growing up in TK, and definitely have loved the aspect of the nature around me at all times. It's really nice. But I'm here to talk to you guys today about the deer, and I'm here to bring forward to the city and the TK Council the use of PZP as the most effective way of sustainably controlling and maintaining a healthy herd. Using PZP for sustainable deer control has been proven by experts. As the Humane Society of America explains, deer kills do not keep deer numbers down because those fawns born have higher survival rates and early onset of sexual maturity. The end result is a quick bounce back in numbers. To be successful, a killing program must not only significantly reduce the deer herd, it must sustain enough pressure to prevent this bounce back effect. PZP is successful because it breaks the cycle of does becoming pregnant and new fawns of being born. My source is the Humane Society of America. Thank you.
Thank you, Sierra.
Have a great senior year.
Danny Deaver?
Danny Deaver, 10020 Bora Bora. We've had family in TKK since 1985. I have a comment on Ordinance 581. I know it's not open, but just a suggestion for amendment. We have in our home 4 drivers, 4 cars. Lots of family in TKK and Fort Mill, but we only have 22 feet of curb between our mailboxes. The average length of one of our cars is 15 feet. So per Ordinance 581, we can't park on the curb in front of our house. That makes it really hard to have family over for dinner on Sundays. So my request would be that point 8 of Ordinance 581 that talks about mailboxes be in effect applicable after postal hours and not on Sundays, or not be applicable after postal hours and on Sundays, so that we could park at the curb in front of our house. Regarding the deer, since I got 2 minutes left, we've got deer in our yard day and night. We've got more property damage than raccoons or other rodents have ever done. We've got erosion control because we've got a steep bank. Devastation of shrubs, landscaping, vegetation, again, preventing erosion, or that used to prevent the erosion on our bank. More than one neighbor on the street are now planting plastic plants in their yard because they're tired of spending money on real plants. So we're at wit's end with the deer. My concern is the herd management and whatever means are used. I don't know about PCP, but whatever means are used, I would like it to be aggressive enough to rebalance the population. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Liz Duda?
Good evening, Liz Duda, 1081 Palmyra Drive. I'm here to talk about TKK City Council member Scott Shirley's public comments at the June 20th, 2023 York County Council meeting. At that meeting, he said, as a city council member in TKK, I have the support of our city council. We're currently researching any schools that are in our purview under the law. If this, in reference to sexually explicit material, exists in those schools, we're going to take legal action. The legal definition of the term sexually explicit material means an audio recording, a film or video recording, or a periodical with visual depictions produced in any medium, the dominant theme of which depicts or describes nudity, including sexual or excretory activities or organs, in a lascivious way. I think I can safely say that nobody wants sexually explicit materials in school libraries. To say that people support those materials in a school library is a diversion from the issue here today. City Council has confirmed that at that meeting he was not representing them, he was not representing you. He was not representing the city of TKK. He was publicly lying. He misrepresented TKK City Council and its citizens. He has breached public trust. He has violated the City of TKK communication policy, which was enacted or revised to address his past transgressions. The last time we dealt with a similarly unacceptable behavior by Councilmember Scott Shirley, he gave us a hollow apology. And here we are again today. I hope that we get more than a hollow apology today. It could sound something like this. I, Councilmember Scott Shirley, am very passionate about my beliefs. I care about kids. I want to protect kids. I love the Constitution. I want sexually explicit materials out of the libraries, out of the hands of children. I don't want the poor families to suffer from the materials in these libraries. And I wanted to explore it with you, TKK City Council, but I got ahead of myself because I'm so passionate about protecting the kids. And for this, I apologize. Let's not be diverted from the issue at hand. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Duda. Steve Calcutt. Can't read it. Steve, we're going to talk about the lakefront stuff. You good? Okay. All right. With that, that would be the end of public comments.
I did not sign up, but I would like to speak.
Please come forward.
Thank you. My name is Amy Burrows. I'm at 381 Shoreline Parkway. I'm also going to talk about the deer, but from a slightly different angle. So the deer issue has made me think a lot about the way that we make decisions as a community, and particularly how this group, and together with city staff, leads us through that process. I would love to see us become a community that really emphasizes making informed decisions driven by best practices, research, expert input, a robust community discussion with a shared set of facts, and particularly creative problem solving. And the outcome of that I would see is that when we make decisions, we know that we are clear on the goals, we know we've evaluated options, and whatever actions are taken are going to achieve the desired outcomes. I don't have that confidence about anything that's done with the deer because I have not seen us go through that process. It seems to have been very emotion-driven, based on a lot of social media discussion, rumors, lack of clarity about facts. Lots of reasons for pursuing a culling have been thrown around, but I'm not even clear which of those reasons have driven your decisions. And I don't think that's clear to the community either. But I do think it's very important to have that clarity and be more intentional about how we make this kind of decision. This is just one example, but plenty of other things could come up that would benefit from that kind of thoughtful process that I don't think we have had. To me personally, there are two legitimate reasons to take action to manage wildlife, and that would be public safety and the health of the wildlife. I haven't seen the data that really demonstrates either of those things happening here. To me personally, I'm a nature person, so to me personally, just being irritated at landscaping loss is not a justification for taking that action. So I disagree with that as a reasoning. And that, I think, has largely driven this discussion, is the emotion, anger, frustration. To me, that's not a good reason to drive a wildlife management plan. That should be based on best practices. I do understand that the emotions are real, like this gentleman and the guy who came here a couple months ago and said, I've had 4 deer caught on my fence. These are real feelings and real issues, but I think the answer to them could be driven by a lot more innovation, creative problem solving. There's some things that haven't, to my knowledge, haven't been looked at, such as changing or considering a change to a fence ordinance, looking at all of the things that other communities have done. This is not a new issue. We don't need to reinvent the wheel. Forming a citizen group has been requested a couple of times. Thank you. Budgeting for contraception. It doesn't seem to have had any analysis beyond people are fed up, so let's just do something. And that's just not the way that I would like to see this community making decisions of this magnitude. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Next item on the agenda is approval of council minutes. Gentlemen, are there any deletions, additions, subtractions, questions, discussions? Seeing none, I will call for a motion.
Motion to approve the minutes.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes unanimously. Bring us to committee reports. And as always, we will start with the one and only Councilman Maciunas.
Well, if this doesn't go well, you can blame the Mayor Pro Tem because he sat in for me on this one. So the EDC met on the 31st of July. 3 subcommittees provided reports. One was the community subcommittee, discussed several potential events, and are looking heavily at a fishing derby to raise money for a scholarship and how that would play out, when it would happen, those sort of things. There is a collaboration subcommittee that is going to start a quarterly speaker series. Kickoff is going to be on the 13th. Malobi was going to reach out to Mark Persley with the York County Chamber to help speak and coordinate that, and also discuss monthly mastermind meetings. You pick a business spotlight, allow them 10 minutes to talk, and discuss any issues or problems for feedback, and social media marketing for EDC to attract businesses. And they do have a monetization subcommittee that will meet with outside groups in August. That's about it. Great job, Tom.
Nice job, Tom.
He had it typed up for you and everything. Look at that. All right. Next will be our Planning Commission, Councilman Shirley.
Yes, there was a planning commission meeting on August 17th. There was a quorum present. There was one member of the planning commission that was attending remotely, who happens to be on deployment. So really grateful that he took the time to attend remotely as well. We did have a presentation from an applicant seeking to build somewhere between 66 and 70 homes off of Dam Road. The area that we talked about earlier this evening with a public hearing from Planning Commission. Planning Commission also discussed some old business, which was a change to the zoning code as it related to food vending services and food vending food trucks. There is currently a 15-day permit that's available for food trucks. The recommendation from staff was an annual renewal. There was a 400-foot separation minimum from residential housing. The recommendation was, I believe, 200 feet. The commission recommended a public hearing in September and then a recommendation to council on the food truck issue. The housing proposal off of Dam Road, interestingly enough, that would require us to annex that property. That property would include a clubhouse, pool, sidewalks, trails, road improvements, and stormwater management and accountability therein. Original discussion we had included a commercial piece there, which would be a restaurant with possible dockage. That was removed from the plans as the deed will not allow it. And the plans currently include housing, an HOA, and amenities for that housing development only. That was it.
Thank you, Councilman Shirley. And our Park and Rec Ad Hoc Committee, Mayor Pro Tem Heislip.
Well, they did not meet, did not have a quorum, but TKK Forever did, so if it's all right, I will substitute that for the Parks and Rec Committee.
Substitute away.
All right, so TKK Forever met on July 24th. We did have a quorum. Staff provided a good overview and history to of TKK Forever for the new members and provided answers to some questions from the previous meeting. They reviewed the bylaws, discussed updating the bylaws, look at some changes because they were written years ago. And finally, they discussed the different officer positions and plan to elect future officers at a future meeting. And also the Catawba Council of Government met on August 17th. We approved the FY '24 budget and elected new officers. The COG is made up of four counties in the upstate region here. The chair was Charlene McGriff from Lancaster County, Joe Branham from Chester County is the vice chair. Our rep from York County for the executive committee is Chad Williams. Harold Thompson from Union County is a minority at-large executive committee rep. Todd Lumpkin from York County is an at-large executive committee rep, and Stacy Moore from York County was elected as an at-large executive committee representative as well. That's all I have, sir.
Thank you, sir. And that would bring us to an introduction of the first reading of fiscal year 2023, 2024 budget ordinance.
Charlie's about to talk about the budget again, guys. You don't want to hang out?
This is the first reading of an ordinance necessary to set the budgets for fiscal year 2023, 2024 that were presented by the city manager during the required public hearing. There is no millage increase included in the coming fiscal year, which is the 14th year of our millage rates remaining the same, which hats off to everyone with the ability to do that. There's not many cities around that have that kind of a bragging right, so.
For sure.
Do we have any discussion, gentlemen?
Just kudos to you guys.
Yeah.
Bob, Charlie, again. All the staff that's done this again. Great job to y'all. We really do appreciate it.
I too would like to say it's a great job by staff. It's a great budget and great job by you, all of you to put it together. I know it's a lot of hard work.
And I would just add to that, very thankful that we have the money to pay for the capital requests that the departments wanted without taking on any new debt, which is a big plus in the future of the city.
Yeah, thanks to staff for addressing that. I know that was a big ask for us to continue to move our city forward without taking on additional debt. And for everyone that was involved in putting that budget together, you did a great job of doing that. And Bob, it was a pleasure sitting next to you during the budget workshop. I appreciate all your feedback. Thank you. It's very educational.
All right.
Okay, with that, I would like to entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I'd like to make a motion to approve the introduction and first reading of the ordinance for the FY '23 to '24 budgets with one modification. I'd like to remove the redesign of this fountain at the entrance for $47,000.
Second.
I have a motion and a second.
Discussions?
Further discussion?
I like the fountain, but if I vote no, then I'm voting no to the budget. Correct?
Just as discussion, I'd like to say, it's not that I don't like this fountain.
So you have a motion and a second. If the mayor calls for a vote on what is there, if the motion fails, then a new motion would have to be brought up. But yes, technically what you're saying, if you voted no to this motion, you would be voting no to the budgets in their entirety.
But I like the waterfall.
So further clarification for Councilman Maciunas, if we vote with Councilman Maciunas' motion, then we make it.
Heislip's motion.
I didn't make the motion.
Excuse me, Councilman Heislip's motion, Councilman Heislip's motion, then the budget for the waterfall will be removed from the budget, and the budget will stand as it is.
Your motion right now is to approve the budgets with reducing the one capital item, which I believe was $48,000. If that motion carries, all the budgets are approved minus that expense.
Thank you.
If the motion fails, all the budgets fail.
Well, you can make a motion to pass the budget as well.
Correct.
Or you can make
A second
second, and the motion can be withdrawn and restated if that's what you want to do. However you want to tackle it.
There's a motion in front of you now. There's been a first and a second, so
Yep.
that's what you're considering.
I'm okay with your motion.
Any discussion?
Guys, I'm under the impression if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And the fountain right now is not broken. It's not leaking. The landscaping looks great. This is $47,000, in my opinion, that can be reallocated to another place in the budget
Sorry.
where we can utilize it. I just don't see spending $47,000 on a waterfall when we've got a great landscaping package. And to be honest with you, I've been coming home to that same fountain for 20 years. So it kind of makes it feel like home to me.
And the reason I made the motion, I just think put that money aside, there's other potential areas that could be better used around the city.
And so
It's up
in
to
the,
council.
in the idea that it's, let's say, and, you know, who knows how this goes or whatever, but say voted down, new motion as it stands, approved, we still do have, even though it's in the budget for this $47,000 of beautifying the front of TEK coming in, our guidance to you could still shape what would happen there. We're approving the money to fund a project, but the project as it stands could still be shaped by council discretion or your discretion
If that's
moving
what
forward.
if council wants to have further input on that and leave the funds, then obviously we will
And we all disagree
100% listen to council.
by the end
on
of the
that.
year and the money never gets spent.
Right.
Then what?
Then it stays in it would be transferred into your reserve
It
funds.
stays in the reserve. So for me, while I appreciate 20 years of seeing the same thing in the fountain, I think this staff has presented a great balanced budget for our consideration, whereas we still have control or input on what's going to occur after the budget is passed without handcuffing, so to speak, a potential opportunity. Let's say, you know, somebody comes in and we could do it for 25,000 because somebody lives in the city and loves it that much and wants to create this immaculate piece at the front of the city. Now we have the funds to do so without necessarily cutting the cord on that right now. I just think it's a little premature, personally, in my opinion, because we still have control over the next year in this budget. It's still up to us and Charlie with guidance versus cutting the cord now, because it's a balanced budget. It's not where it's great to say we're saving $47,000 by not approving this today. It's still money that's in the budget. It's going to go somewhere, whether it's reserve funds or not. We still have control over whether or not we approve what's presented to the city on what we see coming into it. So for me personally, I prefer the flexibility of knowing that the money's allotted. It's a balanced budget. We're all good. Staff did a great job. Let's allow them to continue to do that as the board of directors of this business and move forward with that.
And I can appreciate that perspective, but also if we did, say, we did have a plan that we could all get behind, we can authorize an expenditure of that money based on a single project instead of lumping it into the budget.
Correct.
If we felt so strongly that that's what we needed to do, we could authorize that as a single project expenditure instead of lumping it into the budget.
I'll just be honest, I mean, I kind of feel blindsided. What if I jumped on there and made a motion to approve the budget as read, but wanted to add 200,000 for pickleball? Then we'd all be hamstrung by my motion.
Well, we're not hamstrung. If this gets voted down, you
Well,
can make
if we
another
vote it down,
motion
we
to
vote down
approve
the
the
whole
budget
budget.
as written.
If we vote it down, we vote down the whole budget.
No, there'd have to be a new motion.
You can make a new motion.
I respect
So-
the desire to beautify the entrance to the peninsula. In my opinion, it's beautiful now as it is. I have a personal challenge of looking these folks in the eye, saying we spent 47 or 50 or 60 or whatever the budget overrun looks like. I don't care if it's 40 grand or 60 grand. I have a hard time looking folks in the eye saying we spent that on something that didn't need to be done. And I have tremendous respect for Dustin and the folks that put that budget together, and I think they did a remarkable job, and I'm very, very proud to be a part of that. And I had a very small part of that. They're the ones who did the hard work. But I just can't stomach spending money on something that I think is unnecessary.
But
And
just
it's
to
not
jump in on
needed.
the tail end there, Scott, and just to put it into perspective, and I'm not trying to poke the bear or start a fuss, but at the budget meeting, you were specifically politicking for pickleball spending towards the end of the meeting. Remember that?
I asked if it was in there.
Right. So how many thousands of dollars would that potentially be? It's not added, but it's something you were politicking for. It'd have probably been more than $47,000.
No doubt. No doubt. And
But
here's
so
why.
I'm just saying
Because that brings value to a lot of folks that actually enjoy it.
Sure, 7% of the population,
And can
10% of the
use it and can
population,
participate with it.
100% of the population in the peninsula drives by this.
So
I'm just saying
you're saying
it's-
there's more value in something that we drive by and see than something we can actually touch and use and play with?
No, I'm just saying it's different perspectives. It's beautification. We're towing 2 cars tonight. Why?
Because it looks like hell.
Thank you.
And the poor neighbors have to look at it every day next to it.
And so I'm just not opposed to upgrading the look of the city when you drive into it. Is it $47,000? Sure. Do we put it out to bid and ensure we get the best for the city? Absolutely. But is it cool to think about something awesome, something different, even though it's different? Sure. You know, it's been the same way for 20 years. Cool. But different isn't bad, and the city's going to spend the money. It's a balanced budget for a reason.
Right.
So it's getting spent somewhere.
Well, the 47,000 won't necessarily get spent.
Right, it can go to the reserve fund.
Go to
I'm just
reserve fund,
saying,
yeah.
as far as from a balanced perspective,
Yeah, 'cause we
the
got
money's there.
$500,000 going in. I mean,
Just
we already
my
spent
2
$1 million in capital requests. I just thought we're getting a little out of hand, and we already spent $1 million. We're gonna spend another 50 grand on a fountain. That was my reasoning. But
So could we get behind keeping it in there and exploring the different options
I'm fine with it.
to, for the fountain or for the front entrance?
If I could possibly make a recommendation to you, and obviously this would hinge on Mr. Shirley, Mr. Heislett, as they have the motion and second on the floor. Perhaps a motion to approve the budgets, but that particular capital project does not move forward without further conversation amongst council.
It's fair. All right, I will withdraw my motion.
Well, Mr. Shirley would have to withdraw his second, if that's what he wanted to do and was okay with that. That way, come October 1st, staff's not pulling the trigger on doing anything. Maybe
I'd
we
rather
put
see the
a
money spent
design
elsewhere.
together for you, show you what it looks like, have a further conversation at that point in time to see if council's good with moving forward with that, or if you'd rather just see that money just at that particular time, amend the budget to put that money into operational contingency, that council would have the opportunity to reinvest in another area if you want, or let it go to reserves, or that type thing. That way, your budgets are still good, but that project doesn't move forward without further
That makes the most
recommendation.
sense.
So just to be clear, if we approved this motion, I know you withdrew it, but if we approved the motion as it stood, and just change the caveat of that one particular project, it does still stay underneath the Park and Recreation umbrella. So if there was something else that we saw the need arise to spend it on, we wouldn't necessarily have to earmark it for that water feature in the front.
Correct. If it was a Parks and Rec thing, you wouldn't have to amend your budget. That is correct. Or if there was something else that council identified that those funds would be better suited for, then you can make that decision at a later date.
So that money's still in the budget, and we could use it for
It's still a part of your
something else.
operational
Good.
budget.
Gentlemen, can we all agree on that?
I think it's a waste of 10 minutes of our time and shows a lack of trust in staff, personally. And a conversation that should have been had prior to the motion. Sorry, Tom.
No, it's fine, but I mean, there was quite a bit of discussion about that fountain at the budget workshop. Displeasure about it.
This is the first reading too, so
Yeah, we got
we
a
can,
second
we can
reading,
vote, and we can vote as you motioned, and we still have another month to make changes
No,
to
sir,
it.
you'd
Take it
have to
out
go back
next
to a
time,
new
then you have
first
to
read.
start all over again, Scott.
You'd have to go to a new first read.
You can't do that.
Yeah, at that point, you would have to have a special meeting for either a new first read or a second read after your regular meeting in September,
All right.
which is
So-
fine. I mean, staff we can absolutely do that. Yeah, if that's the route council wants to go. Yeah, this is totally up to you guys. Yeah, if it really is up to you guys. I've got a staff member that put a lot of effort into this. Yeah, under the premise of what we've heard from council on the let's beautify the city, felt like that was a big focal point. That everybody that lives on the peninsula has to drive by. You cannot get home if you live on the peninsula without driving past that fountain. And it's just re-envisioning. Mayor, absolutely, is there anything wrong with it? No, sir. Fountain works fine. The landscaping around it is fine. It was just trying to take it to another level. If council wants to keep a pause on that project for more discussion at a future council meeting, you can approve the budget as is. I have that direction from you guys, very, very clearly. You can make it a part of your motion, if the second and first is withdrawn. Or you can vote on the motion that you have right now.
So here's what I would say, guys, just me being me. Let's make the motion to approve the first read of the budget ordinance, keeping that money in there. It's underneath the Park and Rec umbrella anyway. So with that, if we decide that it doesn't go towards a waterfall, technically there's nothing we have to adjust as far as that budget goes.
Scott would have to withdraw a second to make that happen.
I get that.
Yes. I would want to, before staff spend any of that money, want to come back to you guys to tell us where you want that money directed. If there's a different project under Parks and Rec you want that to go to.
But that money does not particularly have to go to a new waterfall feature. If we approve the
It
budget.
won't right
as
now, based on this discussion.
Based on the motion that Councilman Heislip made, the money stays in the Parks and Rec's budget, and it doesn't go towards the fountain feature unless we say otherwise.
That's it.
The motion you have on the
No, the
floor would
motion
be
that
to
he
remove
withdrew.
it.
Drew,
He'd have
you
to
guys
withdraw
got to
his
withdraw
motion.
this.
You'd
You
have
gotta
to withdraw your
yours.
second, he has to withdraw his motion.
Which he did.
Which he did. So you would just have to withdraw your motion.
Scott, Mr. Shirley has to remove his first, then Mr. Heislip, so that we stay under Robert's rules. Say, Mr. Shirley would have to remove his second, Mr. Heislip would have to remove his first, and then a new motion could be stated if that is what they want to do. If they don't want to remove those, then you've got a motion and a second, and you'll have to call the vote.
It's really not that difficult, guys.
So if I don't remove my motion, then what? We have to vote on?
Then we'll vote it down and make a new motion, and then we'll do it all over again.
Okay, so I'll withdraw my motion,
I withdraw the first motion.
Okay?
Do I have a new motion?
my second, excuse me.
Gus? Me? Sure, all right, hold on, let me pull this up. Motion to approve the introduction and first reading of an ordinance for the fiscal year 2023 and 2024 budgets. And that's
Second.
it.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Nay.
I have 4 ayes and a nay.
I'm gonna stand on my principle, man.
Gotcha. All right, we've got a Part B. This is, a consideration of exchanging a portion of Marina Drive for a new sidewalk along TGK Drive at the TGK Marina. The owner of the TGK Marina has approached the city requesting to take ownership and subsequently close a portion of Marina Drive from the first intersection all the way to the first house past the boat launch at the marina. The owner has agreed to construct a sidewalk along TGK Drive from that intersection to the next Marina Drive intersection in exchange for this. Residents living on Marina Drive will not be impacted by this.
So, Mr. Mayor, and I realize council has this in their packet, it is up online. The portion, just to describe it, as far as the portion of Marina Drive, so the first entrance into Marina Drive, as you're heading westbound on 77, it would be from there around to the boat launch, or towards, on TK Drive towards the lake. As you're heading west on TK Drive, the first Marina Drive entrance, all the way around to the boat launch, is where you're talking about. So it does not go in front of, they've got it in their packets, Bob. The whole map's in there. So it doesn't impact, it does not go beyond the boat launch area of the marina. So as you're looking in your packet at the survey, that hatched out part, where it ends at what would be the top of your page as you're looking at it in your packet, is where the boat launch is. So it does not go beyond that first house, which is actually where the owner of the marina lives. So that portion of the road would be given over to the marina instead of it being a public road. The owner of the marina owns all sides of that piece of road through that hatched area. They own both sides of it.
This is the road that just goes down.
It just goes down the hill down to the marina, correct. So it's from TK Drive down to the boat launch.
What's the purpose?
So we.
I mean, he'll have to maintain it, I get it.
Correct. Your general public doesn't really use it, other than people going down to the marina.
And they have to be slip holders to use it.
As it has been, described to me, it will allow the marina owner to provide better access controls and security for your slip renters down at the marina, instead of just general public being able to go in there.
I got you.
Now, they will have to, before they close it, they will have to go through a court process to close it, which everything that's before you tonight, after your approval, basically puts it back in my hands and our city attorney's hands to make sure that all I's are dotted, T's are crossed, and they go through that court process for the actual proper road closure and construct the sidewalk before deeds are transferred.
Is there any other property owners or
No, sir.
homes on that road?
Not on that section. No, sir.
So quick question on the exit route through the parking lot. Is that all marina-owned property currently?
That is correct.
Okay.
Part of the court process will be to review these same facts and see if any adjoining property owner further along Marina Drive, which is not going to be closed, objects to it. There'll be signs posted pursuant to the process, and they may have to give some property owners actual notice of this, and then a judge will review the findings and order it closed or not. But your conveyance of it is separate from all that, and if you go forward with it, the city won't convey this until that court proceeding is satisfactorily occurred.
Easy enough.
In that, I will, I'd like to obtain a motion. Let me see. Jeez, I'm up
Mr.
again.
Mayor, members of
Damn.
council, I'd like to make a motion to approve the introduction and first reading of an ordinance to transfer ownership of a portion of Marina Drive to the TKK Marina in exchange for additional sidewalk along TKK Drive between the two Marina Drive intersections.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Oh, I just want a little discussion, being a slip holder down there. The smaller road that we're taking out, really, it just serves as an entrance there. You've got a dual-way street that goes down right past the houses. I don't really see, since the owner owns both sides of that property, I don't really see splitting that property with a road. When there's plenty of egress, ingress to get in and out of there with a boat, with a trailer, with a truck, with whatever you're going down there with. I don't see a problem. It comes down, it loops into the boat launch. You can circle up, back your boat in, pull your boat out, head right up, park your trailer. I mean, really, the road only serves as a small entrance to that marina.
Makes complete sense.
I don't really see, and we're getting extra sidewalk, guys.
We don't have to pay for paying that road.
Yeah, we're getting extra sidewalk, so I'm all for getting extra sidewalk.
Fair enough.
Okay, well, with
I'm
that,
done with it.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion passes unanimously. Okay. I think we covered everything there. That's good. Which brings us to our city manager's report. Mr. Funderburk, please take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. Another well-attended concert this past Saturday evening at Rundy. Big thank you to Caroline Hasty, our Parks and Rec and Public Works maintenance teams for all their efforts to make that an enjoyable experience for everyone. Also, thank you to our public safety staff that worked at the concert. And our next one's going to be in September at Catawba Park. Council, if you'll bear with me, this is really my last comment for this evening in my report, but I'm going to apologize up front. It is a little lengthy. Council, at last month's meeting, you bestowed a lot of praise on me for accolades the city has received during my time here as city manager. While those kind words are greatly appreciated, I don't deserve the credit. At full staff, we have 125 full-time employees. Over the past few years, at any given time, most departments have at least one opening, if not several openings. I would venture to say that for most of the year, over the last few years, we've had less than 120 employees who take care of our city. The accolades and praise go to people like Jeremy Hutchison, Fred Wiley, Matt Kelly, Hayden Spalding, Butch Spears, Scott Cook, Joe Hedgepeth, Chip Page, Sheldon Russell, Don Noviello, Tony Ciarelli, Jimmy Dumar, Andy West, Lewis Thomason, Tara Blanchard, Captain Holland, Lieutenant Reap, Sergeant Ectonall, Sergeant Williams, Sergeant Bowers, Sergeant Timms, Sergeant Bowling, Sergeant Pendergrass, Corporal Gamble, Corporal Daly, Lieutenant Blackwelder, Lieutenant Dellinger, Lieutenant Libertor, Lieutenant Wilkins, and the rest of our amazing staff. These hardworking men and women are a big reason why TKK is the reason so many of us love to call it home. Most of them spend as much time here in TKK as they do in their own communities. They are the backbone of this organization that give tirelessly of themselves to ensure we are among the safest cities, the best place to raise a family, the best place to buy a home, et cetera, year in and year out. When folks are looking to relocate to the wonderful Southeast, they usually are searching school districts first. Once they find the Fort Mill School District, they have three choices. They can live in Fort Mill, they can live in the unincorporated area surrounding us, or they can live right here in TKK. The reason they chose here is because of what our staff brings to the table every day. So I'd like to take this opportunity to do two things. First, I want to personally thank each and every one of them. They definitely make my job easier. Second, I want to challenge everyone that is still here or watching at home or who may watch this in the near future. Please seek out, find one of our amazing staff members and give them a pat on the back, give them a high five, give them a hug. Tell them thank you. They are truly what makes our organization and this city amazing. And that concludes my report for this evening, Mayor.
Outstanding.
Good job, Charlie. Can't say enough about the staff of this city. You guys have done a great job.
Thank you, Mr. Funderburk. I appreciate that and echo your sentiments. Which brings us to our executive session. So, gentlemen, I'd like to take a motion to enter into executive session.
Second.
Have a first and a second. All in favor say aye. 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 We are in executive session. We are out of executive session. And we come to our last item on the agenda, which is council comments. So I would like to call Councilman Machunas. If you would, please, sir.
Okay, folks, hang on. I kind of need to peel the curtain back on something that Liz talked about. A few months back, Councilman Shirley made some posts on social media about Paul Pelosi when he was attacked, and they were pretty vile. And it prompted the city to come up with a social media policy for not just council but all of staff. We're hoping that a lesson was learned at that point. Shortly thereafter, there was something on another social media platform that's now called X about liberal, I'll say kitty cats, getting what they asked for, but it was alleged that the account was hacked. I don't think those kind of comments are good for our city. They put the city in a bad light. Recently, before the York County Council, there were comments made about either suggestive material, pornographic material being in the school system, and that Councilman Shirley said that he was representing all of City Council and had our approval, and that we were investigating all the schools under our purview. There are no schools under our purview. And that if there was pornographic material in those schools, that we were going to sue the best school system in the state of South Carolina. I don't think that's good for our city. When it happened, I was kind of in shock. It's not something that I expected to see from somebody that was sitting up here. We had a phone conversation. I'm not going to speak for others. I'm going to speak for myself. I asked him to resign. I thought it would be in the best interest of the city of TKK. I believe that he may have been asked by others up here, but I'll let them speak for themselves if they'd like to. I was told that if I didn't agree with him, then I was the problem and that I should resign. Scott, I don't know. I respect you. I respect your beliefs. I respect your First Amendment right to speak those beliefs. But I don't respect your right to say that you represent 5 people when you represented yourself at that particular moment. You had spoken to one person up here about the issue, and only one, and certainly did not have anybody's approval to say what you said or to represent yourself as representing the city of TKK when you made those comments. So if we need to put it past us, we'll put it past us. But I would just like to reiterate that you are not us, and you are not the city of TKK. We were all elected to do a job, and I think by and large, we all have. But I resented being lumped in and thoughts and comments that seemed to come from us as a council when they did not. And it wasn't the first time, but dear Lord, I hope it's the last. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Councilman Machunas. Councilman Richard.
Well, that's easy to follow. First off, as usual, first responders, EMS, city staff, all of you, just know how much we appreciate you and everything you do. Amazing job with the budget and everything that's come about that. Great concert at the park this past weekend. Groove Machine really turned it up a bit. But, yeah, I guess we'll stay in the somber moment. And, Scott, it's a moment in time that's one too many that you need to step at the F up. Like, enough's enough. And, as the conversations we had, this is a nonpartisan council. Do we all know where we stand politically? Most of you probably get that. But our political beliefs have nothing to do with what this council decides or represents on a day-to-day basis. We're elected to do a job to represent and lead the city and lead Charlie and his team as the board of directors, as I always say. He's the CEO, we're the board of directors, and we give direction. Our political beliefs have nothing to do with that and have no room, no space in what we do day to day by leading this city. Do I agree with there shouldn't be pornography in libraries? Absolutely, I believe that. There's different definitions, as Liz mentioned, and kudos. Great comments tonight, Liz. there isn't anything we disagree on there, but the way that it's presented, and as Gus said, the way we're lumped in to a situation or a position is just unacceptable. And I understand, you know, you wish you could have said it differently. And I appreciate you saying that, but it wasn't. And so there's repercussions that we all have to deal with based on decisions of others. And it's a shitty position to be in, guys. Excuse my language. You know, again, I will stand by my 7.5-year track record with this city. 5 months to go. Like, I'm going to miss it. You know, Joey and I just talked about that. I like what I do up here and what I do for the city because I give it my all. And when when I'm here for a meeting, or throughout conversations with what's coming, it's 100% of anything I could bring to that situation to try to ensure it's the best position or potential for the city of TKK. And I think that's the difference. And again, we mentioned as far as for growth in the position, this isn't, again, a political position. This is a nonpartisan opportunity to lead a wonderful city into what we all decide is the future. And that's a privilege and an honor and something that I embrace and enjoy and love every minute for the next 4 months of my life being here. And that's something, Scott, for you that I believe you have to figure out what your priorities are, because they need to be the city of TKK, not a political view speaking at another council meeting. And I'm not saying this, I'm saying this because I hope you embrace it and figure out there's a time and place for what you believe. This time and place, working for this city as an elected official, is about these people in the audience and the thousands of people out there that elected you, trusting you to make the right decision. And so, again, strike one, strike two, however we want to look at it. Your intentions, I believe, are genuine. I do believe you love this city. But I also believe you need to change the way that you approach it from a political perspective. And just be a great TKK city council person that's doing right for the city. Because I believe 100% that that's what you want to do. It's just there's no room for the other stuff. Again, we're nonpartisan, but whatever. I'll shut up. Sorry. Done.
Councilman Shirley.
So I'd like to address that in my comment to the York County Council. I had a conversation with one of our current council members prior to that meeting, with no intent to go in there and spout off my conservative values or Republican views or the difference between Republican and Democrat or any of that thing. I had no political motivation for the statement that I made. However, I am and was very passionate about the subject that was at hand and supported a large group of people that were there to protest what's going on in our public libraries and concern that the same could be going on in our elementary and middle schools in giving exposure to sexually explicit material to minors. The federal law and the state law are very clear about this. Exposing children to pornographic and sexually explicit material in any form of media, which is written, printed, video, drawings, there's precedent in the courts to say so, it's punishable by up to 10 years in prison. And I'm not okay with the idea that children in our community could be exposed to that. And I am very passionate about that subject. My passion led me to say something that I did not intend to say in that meeting. I meant to say that I have the support of other council members, and I said that I have the support of council. I would expect this council to support that statement, and I expect, and just as Ryan said today, he does support that statement. That was my expectation, that was my hope, but it was not my intent to include all of council in my passion and my quest to make that information known with the county council. What my expectation was, and my intent was, that we would have discovery within our schools and our libraries, and that we would enforce the law. When I spoke about legal action, that's what I expected. I expected our law enforcement officers to enforce the law, whether they're state, county, or city officials, law enforcement. That's the clarity that I want to bring to the statement that I made, and to not mutually include everyone in a decision that I made or a statement that I made. I had confidence that everyone on this council would support that. When the conversations took place, that members of this council were dissatisfied that I included them in error, we had some conversations about that. Statements were made about what this council supports and doesn't support. I didn't have the right to include everyone without speaking with all of them prior to making that statement. My expectation that our state, county, and city will do our diligence and be vigilant and take action with our law enforcement officers at every level. Other legal action that might be necessary, there is a lawsuit that the state filed against a Lexington County school for just this same subject. And state won because the school district was in violation of it. I'm not saying I want to sue the school system. I just want the law enforced. And I want our children, as Liz said and other council members here said, I don't want our children exposed to that. Parents need to make that decision, not the school system. We need to keep sexually explicit material away from children until parents decide they're ready for that information. That's my calling, that's my intent, and that's my stand. In addition to that, I'd like to hail the comments of our city manager commending city staff for the successes in our city. I'm delighted to live in the safest and most desirable place to live in South Carolina, and that is in no small part because of the staff that you have hired, the leadership that you have, and the staff that leadership has hired. And I'm very, very grateful to live in the city that we do with folks that run the city the way they do. And thank you, Charlie, for your leadership, and thank you to those in leadership that are still here and what you do in your departments.
Thank you, Councilman Shirley. Mayor Pro Tem Paisley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And just for the record, I did talk to Scott the day before, or the day of the meeting, about the books in the library. We had a good phone conversation. And my background, I used to enforce and arrest people for child pornography, so I'd had a little bit of experience with these laws. And so I think part of the, reason, Scott talked about these laws was because we had talked about them that day. I take him at his word. He didn't mean to speak for all the council. I think his passion, got the better of him because it's a touchy topic, obviously, and it, can definitely make you angry if you're on the side that you don't think children should be exposed to pornography. So I take Scott at his word, and I know we've talked personally. I know he's going to do better, try to do better. Just be careful what you say. And with that, I just wanted to say I hope all the kids had and the parents, teachers had a great first day of school. I thank the residents for coming out. Thanks to the staff, all the staff for putting on a great event Saturday night. Parks and Recreation, Public Works, you really had the city looking good. T-Cud, I noticed on some of the Facebook posts, you guys are out there working on some sewer lines, some stormwater projects on Molokai. Great work there. You know, all the city staff, Charlie couldn't have said it better. You know, the people in City Hall, administration, the IT, planning, human resources, thank you. Bob was here earlier. He's gone now, but the finance department, you know, thanks for all your work with the departments putting this great budget together. And of course, always, you know, police and fire, thank you for all you do. Looking forward to the movie in the park this Saturday at Rundy. And, you know, be sure to sign up for Catawba Fest on October 14th. Look forward to seeing everyone out there. That's it, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Mr. Heislip. Well, that comes to me. I would like to as well thank everyone that had a hand in the concert series throughout the summer, and all that have hands in making TK the beautiful place that it is. Our city staff is second to none, and whether you're turning a shovel, you're turning a wrench, you're doing a great job for our city, and I want to commend you for that. Department heads also, thank you for hiring the folks that you hire. They do make a tremendous difference in our city, and for all of us, thank you for what you do. First responders, PD, you guys are doing a great job. Great job the other night in being there. We had 2 young men that could have had a different outcome. And thanks to the diligent efforts of our police and fire, they had a successful outcome. So we appreciate that, guys. They are always on duty, as are all of our different departments in the city. You know, we get a storm in, we get trees down. Those guys, they come out, they chop the trees out of the way so everybody get to work. Our PD, our fire department, they're constantly on duty. They never shy away from an incident, and we always come out on top, and it's because of the leadership you guys show, especially. Same thing with our park and rec, same thing with our T-Cud maintenance departments. You guys do an excellent job, and we appreciate you guys doing that job for us. As far as the unfortunate circumstances that we had in front of us this past month, folks, everybody misses the mark. There's not one of us sitting in this room that has not missed the mark before. We can only go forward, put our feet forward, and make it better tomorrow. In that, I make mistakes all the time. And my only saving grace is that folks extend grace to me. So I would ask that we all do what we are supposed to do and extend grace to each other. Possibly give everyone a teaching lesson, a moment that could possibly be a turning point in someone's life. You never know what kind of influence you have on them. In that, I would ask a little bit of grace from everyone. We all have a job to do here. We all value this city tremendously. We all love where we live. We all love what we do. And I would ask that we all take a minute to realize that it's not about you, but it's about TK. And we have to make it that way as citizens. We have to make it that way as council. We have to make it that way as staff. It is not about you as an individual. It is about TK. And if we do miss the mark, the only thing that we can do is ask for forgiveness and repent and turn and go the other way, which is what I'm asking all of us to do. In that, I'd like to thank everyone for coming tonight. I'd like to thank everyone for being here and showing up. Liz, thank you for your comment tonight. You were spot on. And going forward, let's turn the corner, folks, and let's have a great rest of our weeks. I hope that you continue to have blessings in your life. And I hope that everybody is safe out there and enjoys the rest of the remaining part of the week. Thanks to all the parents for getting your kids to school on time this morning. And I'd like to thank all the teachers for being there today and doing what they do as well and shaping the minds of our young folks. And with that, I would ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. I have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. We are adjourned.